A plea agreement between federal prosecutors and Hunter Biden fell apart Wednesday. The judge refused to sign off on a deal that would have seen the president's son enter a guilty plea to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and enter a diversion program in lieu of pleading guilty to a felony gun possession count. After the deal collapsed, Hunter Biden entered a not guilty plea. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is floating an impeachment inquiry into President Biden over unproven claims of financial misconduct. He said Tuesday the move is the only way for Congress to get to the truth. To unpack all of this, we have two pros, Catherine Herridge and Scott MacFarlane, joining us now. Catherine is CBS News senior investigative correspondent joining us from Wilmington, and Scott is CBS News congressional correspondent joining us from the Hill. Catherine, I want to begin with you in this Hunter Biden case. I know you were inside the courtroom when this all happened. Huge shock to everybody watching. What exactly did the judge say about this plea agreement today? How did it fall apart?
Well, Caitlin, good to be with you. The judge in this case, Mary Ellen Nakaya, she said that she had serious reservations, including constitutional questions about the agreement, and that she needed more information before she could either accept it or reject it. There was one moment, I think, that was really the turning point. There was a recess. The defense counsel, Chris Clark, started talking with a member of the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they were clearly discussing the deal itself and whether it would limit future criminal charges against Hunter Biden. And this member of the U.S. Attorney team said, that's not the agreement. And Chris Clark said, well, then I guess we just rip it up. And that, to me, like, it just kind of unraveled from that point.
And what is Hunter Biden's legal team planning to do after all of this?
Well, the judge has said to both parties that they have 2 weeks to file more information to answer her questions about this deal and to come to a meeting of the minds on the scope of the agreement. Is it a broad global agreement that limits future criminal charges? Or, as the U.S. Attorney's Office said today, there's an ongoing investigation and there could be more charges. But I would say that after a hearing like today, the bar is even higher for the judge to sign off on this agreement, though it's still possible.
Yeah, that does seem like a high bar, and something that, a lot of people, legal experts, found really surprising that it could unravel in public view. What happens next? What's coming down the pike in this case?
Well, in terms of the timetable and the tick-tock here, it's 2 weeks for the parties to answer the judge's questions. And then she said in about 30 days, she's going to make an assessment as to whether her questions have been answered, and she can move forward on either accepting this plea agreement or rejecting the plea agreement. But I just want to note that there was a moment in the hearing where she said, okay, well, if this thing is not going to go forward, I guess we have to talk about a trial date. That's how far it got inside the courtroom behind me. They talked about sort of a preliminary motions hearing leading up to a trial in early September.
So this could stretch on for some time. Well, Catherine Herridge, thank you for your reporting tonight and all day today. And let's move over to Capitol Hill, where Republican lawmakers were very quick to respond to what happened in Wilmington today. Scott MacFarlane joins us now and has been covering all of this. So, Scott, Hunter Biden has been really at the center of House Republicans, especially their inquiries into the Biden administration. What's been the reaction over this plea deal falling apart?
It's a shot of adrenaline for Republican investigations into Hunter Biden and into these many multi-fold investigations that the U.S. House Republican majority has started since January. James Comer, the Kentucky Republican who chairs the House Oversight Committee, said in a post late today that the judge saw the red flag, that the judge saw the problem indicative of what he's been characterizing as a sweetheart deal cut by the Department of Justice with Hunter Biden. What Republicans are saying today is that this is indicative of what they've been saying for months, that this deal, that this Department of Justice arrangement that was on the table and then collapsed today with Hunter Biden is indicative of what they've characterized as a two-tier system of justice, a weaponization of justice that favors the Biden administration and, in this case, the Biden family. Democrats are going to respond pretty forcefully here, saying that there is a false equivalence that continues to be made by Republicans between Hunter Biden and the multifold criminal issues and charges against former President Trump, which could accelerate again tomorrow or next week if that grand jury returns an indictment for the January 6th investigation of former President Trump. It really is a Rorschach test, this moment, as so much has been lately, of where you stand politically, what you make of this news.
Yeah, I mean, you call it a shot of adrenaline for House Republicans. Something else kind of fueling them at this point is Kevin McCarthy saying that he may be open to opening an impeachment inquiry into Biden. I want to play a little sound of what he had to say on Capitol Hill today.
Well, we have to find at the end if the justice system is fair to all Americans and not one system for the Biden Inc. family and another for America.
All right, so Scott, what exactly is McCarthy doing here? And are there any grounds on which to open an impeachment inquiry into Biden?
Whether he's trying to or not, Caitlin, he is threading a political needle here by invoking this phrase so much today and so much this week. Impeachment inquiry. What he's been saying is that an impeachment inquiry may be necessary, if not imminent, as a better tool for the U.S. House to investigate the Biden administration. That it opens up some more doors for their investigations into President Biden, his administration, and his son. Impeachment is a word that may satisfy the restive House Freedom Caucus, which has been calling for the impeachment of not just President Biden, but the Homeland Security Secretary, the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, the FBI Director. He's getting pushed from the Freedom Caucus to get aggressive about impeachment efforts by using the phrase impeachment inquiry. He's, in a sense, talking impeachment without really threatening impeachment itself.
Threading the needle indeed there. Scott, I want to move over to the other side of Capitol Hill, where you had a really remarkable moment from Senator Mitch McConnell freezing during a press conference. What happened there? What is his team saying about how he's doing?
A staffer tells CBS News what you're about to see, the moment you're about to see, was an episode of lightheadedness for Senator McConnell. His other colleagues in the Senate have said, but just before this happened and just after this happened, he seemed fine, and at this moment seems fine. But take a listen and a look at what happened mid-afternoon today.
We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
one of his leadership colleagues, John Barrasso, a Republican from Wyoming, came over and motioned Senator McConnell away from the podium. He didn't leave the area. He did come back a few minutes later and then start taking questions and answering questions. His staff, or at least one staffer, has characterized this as lightheadedness. Other staffers and other colleagues have said he is just fine now. That's obviously a distinctive and striking moment that occurred before the nation's cameras and the national audience earlier today.
Yeah, especially jarring to see it and watch that unfold. Of course, we wish him well and have more questions to come. Scott MacFarlane, thank you for covering all of these threads for us tonight from the Capitol.